Hello out there. We're on the air. Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to the 400th and final episode, edition, day of the Daily Bitcoin Journey. It's a pleasure to be with you today, and it's going to be a fun one. I really don't know the exact route that this is going to take, but I do know it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be valuable, and I'm happy to spend it with you today. So happy Monday. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Samantha is here, first in the chat. Killer right behind. Samantha says hi over on YouTube. Should tell Rumble that we're live before we go any further. We can't leave out Noster. I don't know why I'm like kind of sad right now. I don't know why. I do not know. But anyways, we will proceed. So let's get this shared. Looks like McHoddle's here. I see it has sent in a zap already over on Zapstream. Okay, here we go. Who else is here today? Ginger's here over on both. Is this the right place to enjoy some all-time highs? Not today, Scotty. Not today. We are we're pretty below the all-time high actually right now. Jake, 21 hats. Good morning. Feels like a Monday. It is, and it's kind of fitting today. If you look outside here, it's I don't know if you can really see or not, but you can see some frost on the ground there. Why is it so blurry? Frosty. First frost this morning. So I thought it was kind of appropriate for the episode today. We're kind of a new season, a new chapter, I called it, but it's a new season. We good here? Yeah, we're good. Look at that nice hat, Jake. Can't wait to get me one of those. Josh, good morning, YouTube, for the last time. It's okay. Nostra welcomes you with open, decentralized arms. Letha's over there. Look at this. Letha was one of the first people here for the Daily Bitcoin Journey, and she's here for the 400th one today too. I love that, honestly. Because it's that kind of stuff is special to me, in the sense that there's been people like Letha who have been here from the very beginning almost, and it's hard to find things to talk about, relevant things to talk about every single day, and still keep a few people around. And Letha is one of them. So thank you, Letha. She's up 8,888 sats. Letha, definitely one of the most supportive folks on here. So thank you, Letha. Happy 400th episode. Samantha's over there too. Samantha's up 1,111 sats. Thank you, Samantha. Josh says, morning Rumble. God bless you all. Yes, that's right. Scotty says, can confirm Jorah's Darth Vader after watching videos of him Ben putts on the golf course. Yeah, I forgot about that. That was we had our Ironman this weekend. I shared a video on Nostr about it. It's fun. It was actually a really nice day here. Kev Keith, finally it's Monday morning. Now the finale. VHF is here. Scotty says DCA on the way. It is low. It's probably the lowest ever. It's probably the lowest ever. I don't think we've ever been higher than right now. Kind of fitting overall. We got the first frost changing in the season. So we got DCA has never been lower. And we're moving on. What was I doing there? Oh, yeah, the DCA. What was it, Scotty boy? Okay, so we got 2 hours ago. Somebody sent in 2404. That must be Scotty. 2404. $3, yeah. $3 worth of sats. Congrats on the 400. You don't look a day over 369. Oh, Lucky's on the road. I don't know if you can see him out there or not. Oh yeah, you can see him. Going for a little hunt. Lucky showed up. What more could he ask for today? Maybe Arnie will show up. Who knows? Anyways, thank you, Scotty. That is the lowest of all time. So 2404. Let's take a look at that. 2404. October the 6th. Let's bring this up here. Congratulations, Scotty. You got the lowest zap of all time. 2404. Scotty boy. Thank you, Scotty. So look at that. Let's zoom in on this a little bit. This is crazy. So 2404, that's $3 worth of it's a coffee essentially. We call it the dollar coffee average. So $3 a coffee in fiat, and this is how many sats it gets. So 2404. When we started doing this back in April. Wow. April of this year. April 7th, 2025, somebody sent in $3 worth of sats, and that got 38.31. And now today, what is that, like 6 months later? 38.31. Remember that number. 38.31. And today we got 2404. Wow. 1,400 sats different. That's crazy. So that's pretty appropriate, honestly. The final episode here of the Daily Bitcoin Journey, and we get the lowest amount of sats. Pretty poetic, you might say. So thank you, Scotty. Appreciate that very much, my friend. Tommy D's here. Good morning, Tommy D. Paulie says, Friday Toronto meetup was a smash. Best people in town, a Bitcoin celebration and information session. As for myself and Josh, house on fire. You couldn't shut us up. Love that. Love that. Nav says 4 mil sats acquired on Saturday before the pump. Nice. Tony Maloney. Let's go. And look who it is. 400. Congrats, Jor. Thank you, Jerry. Cheers, buddy. Kind of hard to believe. But I'll show you something funny here. I'll show you something kind of funny. So let's put this up here. So this was the very first video here. This was it. And if you notice anything here, these two guys look pretty similar. Gray hat, same hoodie. And this was the first episode we ever did. Hello out there. We're on the air. Welcome to the 88 Sats radio channel. Welcome to the Daily Bitcoin Journey. Glad to have you here, whether you're watching live or later. So this we're going to start doing this every morning, hopefully, or almost every morning. I was planning on doing this in December, and I was going to do a couple test runs, but I think the best way to do it is just to jump into it. So that's what we're going to do. There's been a couple things that have happened in the last 2 weeks that have kind of expedited this process. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. But I guess before we get into it, let's just kind of talk about what this show is going to be as we move along here. So the Daily Bitcoin Journey, we're never going to abbreviate it, but the Daily Bitcoin Journey is basically going to be targeted to 16-minute show. The first one was 16 minutes long. And I was just bringing this up here in the background. This was about the what we were looking at that time. So we were still in Epoch 4. We were, oh no, I get a meeting here right away. What? We were in Epoch 4. Shit. I wonder what I'm going to do about that. I got to think here and talk at the same time. Epoch number 4. The block subsidy was 6.25 Bitcoin per block. And the exchange rate here, look at that. This is kind of crazy. So the price when we started the show here was 37,881. It was actually a little bit less than this because we started before this. But at the time, $1 would get you 2,640 sats. And as we were just looking at there, today, $3 gets you less than that. So $3 worth of fiat today gets you 2,404 sats. And at this time, when we started the daily Bitcoin journey, $1 would have got you 2,640 sats. That's pretty crazy. So the block since then, we've actually done about what? 100,000 blocks since the show. 819,198. Yep. 917. So we've done approximately 100,000 blocks since that day. And you can see here now that $1 gets you 800 sats on the dot. Everything's lining up today. Everything is lining up. And the price there, we're just about to, it looks like we're about to hit 125,000. Oh, we're going down. Oh, we're going up. No. We'll keep an eye on that. But again, here's what everybody needs to know, which is if we look at this, if we look at this chart, where is it here? Share this tab. So Bitcoin versus gold, we're actually, when did we hit the all-time high? 34 ounces, about 35 ounces. This was back in 2021. And right now we're actually only 31 ounces per Bitcoin. So even though it appears as though we're hitting an all-time high right now, we're not. We're hitting an all-time high in a fiat dying currency. But if you compare it to gold, which I would say is the best measuring stick, we're actually still down from 2022, which is hilarious to me because people are all predicting that we're going to go up a little bit more and then we're going to have a big crash. But we haven't even hit we're actually not even really that close to hitting an all-time high. 31 ounces for one Bitcoin. And back in 2021, it was 35 ounces for one Bitcoin. Anyways, let's keep her going here. I got to figure out what to do about this meeting in half an hour because we can't be having that. We can't be having that. So I'll think of something here on the fly. Praetorian's here. Good morning, Praetorian. Tony, what's Nostr? What's Nostr? I don't even know what it's a protocol. It's like the internet. It's like Bitcoin. It's like email. But it runs on relays. So it's permissionless. You can, it's where Bitcoiners hang out essentially right now. I don't like comparing it to social media because the use case for it is much bigger than that. But that's pretty much what it's used for now. Is like kind of a decentralized social media where you can't be censored. You can send and receive Bitcoin to each other instead of fake likes and shit like that. So I don't know. I've been on Nostr for almost 3 years now, and it's a beautiful thing. Josh, Sats and Sunsets. Good morning, Jork. Congrats on 400. Have an appointment this morning, so I can't stay. No problem. Thanks for being here, and I know you'll be here for the next chapter too. Tom says the real profit is the friends made along the way. No doubt. Yeah, I wonder how many people were in the chat there. Let's see if we can recognize any names in that first episode. So far, we're 5 minutes in, and there's nobody in the chat. 8 minutes in, still nobody in the chat. Did anybody show up for the whole episode? I don't see anybody. Oh, who's this? We had one comment. First person in the chat. First person in the chat, Jacob. That's kind of funny because that's who I have a meeting with in 9 minutes. I don't think it's this person, but name's also Jacob. So we had 14 minutes into the first episode, 15 minutes in. That was the first comment. Jacob, I don't think I've seen him since. J-Dog's here. Good morning, crew. Sneaking a peek while pretending to work. Nice. Good morning. Do we have wolves where I'm at? Yeah. Yeah, we got everything here. 38.31 is $4.78 now. Wow. Duncan. Morning, Duncan. Happy 400 show. Thank you, my friend. Ian. Good morning. Happy 400. Good morning, Ian. 65 sats. Good morning, Mark. Hey, Jen. Morning, peeps. Dropping in to say hi and leave a gift on speed. Got to work now. Bye. Thank you, Jen. Josh says, wow, that's wild. 2,600 per dollar. Yes. Now it's the last for 3. So we've essentially more than 3x'd since the show started. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. 21 Hats says nothing less surprising than Jor being surprised by a surprise meeting. Yeah, I got to figure that out fast here. Because we can't cut the last one off short, can we? Santino. All right, let's see if I can do something here. Shit, that's kind of sad. I'll figure it out. Bad Gal B. Good morning, Bad Gal B. Sketchucation, late to the show. Rumble never notifies going live. Even with notifications on? That seems strange. Rolando Rod. Morning, Jor. Happy Bitcoining. Good morning. Solar. Cypher. Ian says, good morning, Jor. Arnie and gang. Stay humble, stack sats, fix the money, fix the world. Ian, thank you very much for the zap on Friday, my friend. I saw that come in after the show. I think you were watching the show after. I don't think it came in during, but thank you, Ian. That was a big zap. Gold could crash. True. Stripes. Morning all. Episode 400 is a milestone. Great things to come. Yes. 100%. Someone new, but glad to be part of the Bitcoin crew here. It's good to have you. Bitcoin Nurse. Good morning. Bernard. All-time high soon broken again. In fiat. Here we go. VHF says, Nostr, short for notes and other stuff transmitted by relays, is an open, decentralized protocol designed for censorship resistance and user control over data. Yep. Bitcoin Nurse, looks like we hit 125. So this is goodbye. No. I'm not quitting. I'm just moving to the next 400. Thank you, Ian. Okay, so what do we have here? What can I do? Ooh, I got a busy day today. Wow. Okay, well, let's what should I this is kind of weird doing this right now, but anyways, got to do it. Shit, this is hard to do live. Okay, so let's what can I do? Just give me 1 second here. Okay. Hate to do that, but it is what it is. It is what it is, folks. Okay. Last episode tomorrow, I guess. No, sorry. Congrats on 400 clutch 99. Thank you, my friend. Look at that nice woofer. Duncan says, what's your thoughts on Josh Mandel's prediction of 444 by 11:08? I really don't know. Like, I'm sure if you ask most people, they would say impossible, that just because Bitcoin doesn't move that quickly. But at the same time, it does. So I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't bet money on that it'll happen, but I definitely wouldn't rule it out. Do another live later. I wish I could, but I have 5 meetings today, and I have other stuff that I need to do as well. Orlando says, will you be doing lives on YouTube? No. I'm going to try doing once per week on YouTube. I'm going to do like a Bitcoin specific show talking about security, like a Q&A. I'm going to try to do a live Q&A every week on YouTube, but we're moving to a couple other places here. Buck52 says, this looks interesting. BTC INEOS, Bitcoin High Income ETF, pays a monthly dividend. That's kind of cool, but I'd rather just hold Bitcoin myself personally. But everybody's different. Wow, we got a lot of stuff happening over on Nostr here. Letha says, thank you for everything, Jor. Well, you don't have to say that, Letha. Thank you for everything, but we're not done yet. Samantha says, wonder what luck you will hunt this time. Who knows? Guy's wild. Derping, good morning. Josh zapped 8,888 sats. Arn barked twice for new beginnings, eh? Thank you, Josh. Josh and Letha. Thank you. Danger Farron zapped 21 sats. Thank you, my friend. Duncan zapped 3.4 thousand sats. Morning Nostr manual DCA. Well, that's a pretty high DCA there, Duncan. Scotty's was 2404. You zapped 3404. The Hick, congrats on 400, and Bad Gal B zapped 400 sats for episode 400. Thank you, Bad Gal B. Tom says, Jor, I hope you get some golf supplies to Jack. Foot indoor, take the shot. Actually, Tom, I sent him a post on Nostr. It didn't get back to me, so maybe one day. Paulie, so as humble journeyman on YouTube, what exactly changes from here, Jor? It's a good question. And I got a couple different ideas that we're going to work through. Kind of the idea here is that, we started the show and, I've 400 episodes. I've learned so much myself about Bitcoin. Because when I started, I was, about halfway, maybe a little bit less. No, a little bit more, I guess, on my own journey. And so I had the basics down, but kind of what I want to talk about today in the show is like things that I've either learned or changed my mind on in 400 episodes. So when I started the show, the focus was very much on Bitcoin security, privacy, all these different things. And we're all kind of going through it together. That was one of the themes that we had right off the hop, is it's a journey. We're all kind of going through the same thing together. Everybody's in a slightly different spot. But at this point, I feel like the people who have been watching the show for the, X amount of episodes, we're not really beginners anymore. We don't want to keep answering the same questions. We want to kind of evolve. And so that's what's kind of happening here. And with the Living in the Future community, it had a Bitcoin element to it. Obviously, we talked a lot about Bitcoin with the 365 days of Bitcoin on there. But there was other stuff too. And I think that it was the other stuff that people found the most interesting in terms of, increase how to get more sats, how to meet other Bitcoiners, learning, collaborating with, building things like our Bitcoin Citadel. All the people within that group spawned from the Living in the Future community. So we're kind of splitting it off now. That's going to keep going into the Visionaries community. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin and networking stuff. We're going to be talking about increasing your sats flow. Obviously, we're still going to talk about security and that kind of stuff. But then we're going to have Bitcoin Citadel, which is going to be 100% focused on Bitcoin stuff. So the show is going to be, it's probably be a similar structure. Like I'll get up here on, and talk for a while, and then we'll go into some Q&A, or we'll, look at questions and topics from the chat. So we'll see. I have a couple different ideas. There's going to be some changes to the show, but for the most part, it'll be pretty similar. Maybe not. I don't know. We're going to see where it goes. Really, like I've pages and pages of notes and things and ideas, but it'll depend on the feedback from it. And I'm always open to change. So I think you have to be. You got to be very fluid in this day and age right now. So we'll see. What the main thing is that we're not going to be on YouTube anymore. I'm still going to have the channel here. I'm still going to be sharing videos on YouTube. We're going to do a live weekly show on YouTube, but everything else is going to be very focused on Nostr and focused in the school platform. 5 meetings doesn't sound like Bitcoin provided a lot of freedom. What does that mean? Samantha, I never get Rumble notifications for this channel. I wonder why. Thank you, Tom. We're already there. We're already there. It's one of those things, if you would ask me when I did my first show, the Wayne Gretzky is not selling crypto tokens. If you would ask me in less than 2 years from now, we would have built what we've built, I would have been over the fucking moon. So I would say, it's easy to always be wanting more and more and more in life, but you also just have to kind of reflect sometimes and say, that person who showed up randomly one day on YouTube, I think we did pretty good. And it's just beginning. That's the great part. That's the great part. Changing my name to New Beginnings 99. Wow, we're buzzing. BTC at 125.2. I wonder if we could hit 120, 126 on the show, and we can listen to Thunderstruck live. It'd be a fun way to end. What are we at right now? Yeah, we're 125. Nice. Kachuk, good morning. Was it hard to set up your Start9? No, not at all. Not at all. I'm out if you start doing hot tub streams. Well, you don't have to worry about that, Scotty. That meeting was meant. I'll be back, Paul. Great meeting you. Nice. That's awesome. Ian says, I'm 56. If I can adapt, everybody can. I'm on your train, Jor. Let's go. Let's go, baby. Okay. So when is the next meeting, though? That's what I also need to figure out. Okay. We got time. So kind of as mentioned here, hold on. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything or forgetting anything here. I guess before we go into this, I should share the Rumble link for people. I see we got 55 people watching over in YouTube today. And it's going to be the last one. So if you are somebody who's been watching it and enjoying it with us here on YouTube, we're going to keep doing the stream. It's not going to be the daily Bitcoin journey anymore, but it is going to be something similar. But you can head over to Rumble and get yourself an account there. That's what I would recommend. We're going to be on Rumble. We're going to be on Nostr, and we're going to be on School. We're not going to be on YouTube anymore. And so what I would recommend is just go over to Rumble, sign up for an account, subscribe over there. Oh, that link won't work. Sorry. That link's not going to work. Let me delete that. Let's try this again. So there you go. Head over there, sign up, subscribe, and you'll see the shows going forward. Probably say that a couple times throughout the show, so I apologize in advance for that. But anyways, where was that now? Here it is. Okay. So we're not just going to sit here and celebrate 400 episodes for the whole time. We're gonna talk about some stuff. Looked like somebody sent in 2,222 sats. That might have been Polly. Row of ducks. Thank you, Polly. I'm guessing. Polly usually says a comment though with it. Anyways, after 400 episodes here, 400 episodes, 400 live streams talking about Bitcoin every day for just about 2 years. 100,000 blocks it's been since we started. The price has tripled. It was about 35,000 USD for one Bitcoin when we started. You could have got 2,600 sats for $1 at that time. And today you get less than that for $3. So Bitcoin's 3x'd. I've learned a lot here. And it seems like we're all kind of going through this whole thing together. And that's what it's been from day one here. And so, I had the basic understanding of Bitcoin when I started here. I thought I knew more than I did probably, but I've learned a lot and I've changed my mind on a lot of things too. And so what I'm going to talk about in this segment of the show today, in this part of the show, is 8 lessons I've learned from being in Bitcoin, from doing 400 streams talking about Bitcoin. And these kind of things I would say are not really like basic information. It's a little bit more advanced, but I think it's important to just kind of talk through some of these things. And, one of these, the cool thing about every stream that I've done is that there's anybody out there that could watch one show and they could hear one thing. And that thing that they change in their security setup or whatever it is could be the difference. It could be the difference between their family having their Bitcoin in 20 years from now and not having it. So it's kind of cool. And that's what has really motivated me to stay so consistent with this, is because we always have new people coming through here. But the idea with this next chapter here is that we're going to take the existing group of people that's here and we're going to keep going down that same road, more and more advanced topics, more and more discovery into Bitcoin, and then hoping that that group of people can start reaching the newer people along the way. So this is going to be 8 lessons. Actually, it's like 10, but I might cut some out. We'll see what happens here. But we're going to start with number 1 here, which is your mindset's the most important part of it. And that's going to be a very big focus within the visionaries community. The next chapter here is the mindset, because you're never going to be wealthy. You're never going to be sovereign. You're never going to really accomplish anything without the right mindset in life. And there's a couple different things of it that I've learned along the way here. They're kind of unrelated to Bitcoin, but are very much still applicable to Bitcoin and kind of what we're building going forward here. And probably the biggest lesson I've learned in terms of a mindset is value. It seems to me like the fiat system, the fiat cult, it's so broken because it's so backwards. It's so against nature. And one thing that Bitcoin has really done, in addition to this, is that Bitcoin really changes the incentives again for value. And it was Earl Nightingale who really changed my lens on this, the way I see it. But he basically says that you get out what you put into it. So everything that you receive in life, the rewards that you receive in life, are all 100% based on what you put into it, how much value you add. And the fiat system is designed in a way where that's not the case. There's a lot of people out there who are adding absolutely no value to the world, but they're getting paid very well for that. And I'm sure you can think of a few things right off the top of your head of who I'm talking about here. Government workers would be at the top of that list. But that's what the fiat system has cultivated. When you give people the ability to print money with no energy or no proof of work, no work required to print that money, then that's what happens. The incentives are backwards. So Bitcoin anchors it back to nature. And I think that nature always wins. It has always won historically. And so that's kind of what we're moving from right now, is that's the transition happening, where people who did not add any value to the world but still received, that's not the case anymore. And so in this new system that we're heading into, you're going to have to add value to the world, and you can get value in return, whether that's in Bitcoin, fiat, wherever that is. but you want to store that value in Bitcoin. And that's kind of another point coming up here in terms of the value part. But that's the biggest thing, is just the mindset. And one of the things that we're going to be talking about a lot in the new show, the new community, is your mindset and your paradigm, essentially. Because we're kind of brought up based on our DNA, our environment. But if you really want to make a change in your life, you have to change your mindset, and you have to change the paradigm and the lens that you see the world through. And so having the proper mindset, I think, is going to be the biggest asset that you can have here into the future. I would say three things. Three things into the future are going to be your greatest assets. Number one, mindset, having the right mindset, having the right perspective. Number two is having Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the best form of economic power that you can have. And number three is having a network, having a community of people. And we've all heard the expression, your network is your net worth, but it's true. And I'm sure the people in this community here can attest to that, in the sense that Bitcoin's essentially going to get rid of the middleman. Middlemen have done very well in the fiat system. The middlemen who sit there and add no value, but they extract value from each transaction, they're going to disappear. But the one thing that the middlemen did do is that they kind of added a layer of insurance there, where if one part of the transaction wasn't honest, that's where the middleman would step in and say, hey, we're either going to refund your money or we're going to get your money back, whatever that may be. The middleman in the fiat system was essentially the trust, built-in trust, which we all paid for through insurance, through fees, through all these different costs. You pay for that middleman. But the world that we're moving into doesn't have a middleman in it. And so that 100% of your trust is going to be built on reputation. And so it's so important to have a network of people, of like-minded individuals that you can learn from, that you can collaborate with, that you can build with in the future. Circular economies, citadels, all these different things is going to be based on the people that you know and the reputation that you built among them. So having the right mindset is going to be very important into the future. So that's number one, mindset. Number two here is locations. So this one's in regards to security. So that's kind of what I do all day now, is I talk about security. I help people improve their security. But I've learned a lot along the way myself, and I've made a lot of errors myself that I hope to pass on to other people so they don't have to make the same error there. But one of the main things is locations. So when you have your device, this is part of everybody's journey here, getting something like this, a hardware device. And you want to focus on removing the single point of failure. So when you have this is the first thing you get. This thing derives a private key, and that's what essentially allows you to access your Bitcoin, your private key. So it generates it, it stores it in this device. And if you want to move any Bitcoin, you need to have this signing device here. But if something happens to this, you write down your 12 or 24 words onto paper. And the key here, the key about locations, is that you want to have those two separated. So you want to have this device in a different spot as your 12 words. Those need to be in two different locations, because if they're in the same location and something happens to that location, your Bitcoin's gone. And so you have to be very mindful of that. You have to understand the implications of that. Because again, kind of the whole thing here is that it doesn't really matter how much Bitcoin you have today. Everybody gets so obsessed with the price of how much they have, but it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is how many sats your family has in 20 years from now. And if you make one small error at this stage of the game, if you're not paying attention to the details like this, you're not going to have any Bitcoin. And you're going to have to tell your family in 20 years from now what happened. Because again, we're the ones here with the responsibility on us. We are. Not our parents, not our kids. It's us. And so you have to have a very deep understanding of the implications involved with your securing your Bitcoin. Again, it's a pretty powerful thing. You can take this money wherever you want to. You don't have to ask anybody's permission to use it. You don't have to pay any fees for anybody else to hold it for you. and there's no middleman who can intercept any of your transactions. But the cost of that is your personal responsibility. The cost of that is having to figure out how to actually store that Bitcoin yourself. And so locations for me, having these things in different locations should be the starting point for a lot of people. So you want to have this in one spot, and you want to have your 12 words in a different spot. So if one of those spots go down, that's what the 12 words is for. It's your recovery. It's your backup phrase. So for a lot of my time in Bitcoin, I had them in the same spot, and I would have been in a lot of trouble if something would have happened to that one location. So that's one thing I've learned, and one thing I've changed my mind on is having separate locations for Bitcoin. Number three, the third thing that I've learned here is actually utilizing the Lightning Network for buying Bitcoin. So when I first started buying Bitcoin, I would buy it in chunks. I'd send it on chain. I'd either leave it on the exchange or I'd send it to my hardware wallet, because that's what I was told when I first got into Bitcoin. Not your keys, not your coins. And so I would buy Bitcoin, any amount, and the first thing I would do is I would send it to my wallet, my cold storage wallet. But I ended up paying a very, very steep fee for that, because I didn't understand the implications of sending Bitcoin on chain and the UTXO implication of that. So I'm not going to get too far into what UTXOs are. I have a ton of videos on the channel here. There's going to be much more discussion in the future about it, probably with more within Bitcoin Citadel. But I started to use Lightning to buy. So what I do now is I use Bitcoin Well. If you're in Canada, Bitcoin Well is the best for that. If you're in the US, River would be the best for that, I would say. But instead of buying it and either leaving it on the exchange or sending it to your cold storage in small amounts, what you can actually do is you can use the Lightning Network. So make sure you're using an exchange that has Lightning withdrawals. And again, Bitcoin Well, River are kind of the top two. I'll probably have a couple links to leave here, including the new Rumble link, but I'll put Bitcoin Well and River in there as well. But you can utilize these exchanges that offer Lightning withdrawals, and then you can essentially, what I do is I set up like a recurring buy. So every week money comes out of my bank account automatically. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to do anything. Money comes out of my bank, buys Bitcoin at Bitcoin Well, and that Bitcoin gets automatically sent over the Lightning Network to my Lightning wallet. So it happens. I don't even know what happens. I don't have to do anything with it. It happens every week consistently. And that's a big thing too that's not on this list, but just compounding, right? Everybody wants things so fast, but if you just do it over and over and over and over again for a long time, it's going to add up to something pretty substantial. So even if you're setting up like $10 a week or $50 a week, like that's going to add up after a couple of years. But the cool thing is you can use the Lightning Network to move from the exchange to your Lightning wallet. And then once you get a certain threshold on your Lightning wallet, that's when you send it to your cold storage. And that's how you're going to most efficiently and effectively manage your UTXOs, just with that one small little change in your process. So utilizing Lightning instead of doing everything on chain. That's number three. I better check these off as I go here. The next one here that I learned is, we're all told the expression "never sell your Bitcoin," which I agree with. You should never sell your Bitcoin. You should never sell your Bitcoin for fiat. But if you're somebody like me who essentially lives on Bitcoin now, every time I get any money, I just buy Bitcoin with it and let it sit there for obvious reasons, because Bitcoin's going up forever and fiat's going down forever. And that's been one of the biggest changes that I've had, is instead of just buying once a month or buying whenever, the price goes down, I just buy every time I get dollars now. And so with that, I've really changed my mind on actually spending Bitcoin and selling Bitcoin. So the fourth one here is actually just sending value to somebody. And that's how people should be thinking about this, in my opinion. So everybody's like, well, I don't want to spend any Bitcoin. I actually had a conversation with a guy yesterday who said, I don't want to spend my Bitcoin because I'm going to look back one day and say, oh, I spent 50,000 sats on this, and I'll regret that. And that's not true. It's not true. Whenever you're buying something, it could be coffee at a restaurant. It could be a hat online. It could be anything, honey online, anything that you buy, anything, anytime you spend money, you go to the beer vendor, you buy a case of beer, you're spending value. And so what we do here, I know we use different terms like money and whatever, but the thing is like you add value to the world and then you get value in return for that. And then no matter what, if you want to buy things, you have to spend that value somewhere. So it doesn't really matter how you spend your value. And what I mean by that is it doesn't matter if you're paying somebody in Bitcoin. It doesn't matter if you're paying somebody in fiat. It doesn't matter if you're paying somebody in gold. It doesn't matter what you're paying them in. You're paying them value. You're sending them value. The form will change, but it doesn't matter. You're still sending somebody else value. Whatever the equivalent is, whatever they measure it in, you still have to send somebody that value. So it doesn't matter how you send value. The only thing that matters is how you store your value. That's the most important part. So whatever you're spending things on, it doesn't matter what the form is. You're still giving somebody else your value that you've accumulated by doing work. So it doesn't matter how you spend it. It only matters how you store your value. So whenever you're thinking about, I don't want to spend Bitcoin because then I'll have to look back and I'll have regret about spending this much. It doesn't matter, because if you didn't buy that thing, you could have taken that cash and you could have bought Bitcoin. So either way, you're losing that value that you gave somebody. So that's a very important part, I think, for people to understand. That's one thing that I've really changed my mind on and kind of expanded my thinking on, is that it does not matter how you send or spend value. The only thing that matters is how you store it. And so when you get value, when you get paid for doing something, it matters how you store that value. And for me, I store it all in Bitcoin, because nobody else can print Bitcoin. Nobody else can devalue my value. So that's an important concept, I think, for that I've learned, is it doesn't matter how you spend your value. It only matters how you store your value. The next one here is that Bitcoin actually is unstoppable. It's unstoppable, and it's unstoppable for a lot of different reasons. Every 10 minutes, there's a new block that comes out in Bitcoin, and that ledger, essentially, we have 917,000 blocks. All those blocks have transactions in it. And that's a ledger. That's a ledger of Bitcoin. If you're running a Bitcoin node, you have every transaction that's happened since January 3rd, 2009. And every time there's a new block that comes out, that new ledger gets broadcast out to every single person on the planet who's running a Bitcoin node. So you'd have to wipe out the entire earth to wipe out Bitcoin. But even so, we have satellites who are storing a copy of this ledger. So even if the power went out, even if there was a solar flare, whatever happened, we would still be able to reconcile. We'd have all the transactions going back to January 3rd, 2009 that have been verified and audited by the Bitcoin network, all the nodes in the network. And so it would survive. You cannot stop Bitcoin. But the other thing too, the most important part, because that's kind of the first things that you understand, is that Bitcoin's very hard to stop, impossible to stop. And that's why they've thrown 16 years worth of bullshit at it, is because they can't physically stop it. And so they have to try with words. But the thing that I've learned, kind of built on top of that, is that Bitcoin's actually unstoppable because of the people. Bitcoin's actually unstoppable because of the people. Because every single day around the world, more and more people are understanding the problems with the fiat system. And they're seeing that there's a big issue with having people print money. And so, yes, the design of Bitcoin, yes, the security around Bitcoin is great, but that's not what makes it unstoppable. The unstoppable part is the people who are here now. Even if something happened to Bitcoin, we wouldn't just go back to fiat. We would build something new. So even if they managed to hack Bitcoin or whatever happened, that doesn't matter. It's the principles, it's the awakening that's happening here and that has already happened. And every single person who's watching the show right now, if Bitcoin failed, it's not like you would just give up and you'd start, saving in fiat again. No, we would build something new. It's the principle of what's happening here that's going to live on. So Bitcoin is the tool right now, but it's really a whole awakening of people who are realizing that we need a sound money in this world. The only way that we can actually progress as a society is if we have a hard and sound money to back it. So Bitcoin is unstoppable, not just the decentralization aspect of it, but the people and the principles and the knowledge that's been accrued so far, and the understanding of the old system and why we need a hard money. And nobody here is going to stop until we get on a hard money standard. And there's more and more of us every single day who are waking up to that. So it's unstoppable in more ways than one. The next thing that I changed my mind on here is the fact that there is no number in Bitcoin. There's no number. And if you look around YouTube or Bitcoin on YouTube, you'll see all these different videos, and some from me even too. And this is why I'm saying this. This is something I changed my mind on myself. There's all these different videos titled "Get to 0.1 Bitcoin" or "Why you need 0.21 of a Bitcoin." All these videos are out there explaining why you need this much based on this time frame, based on this compound annual growth rate of Bitcoin. And I've realized that none of it matters. None of it matters, because once you start chasing a certain number, you're right back in the fiat system. You're right back in the rat race. And yes, it's great to want to add as much value to the world as possible. And in return, you can exchange that value for Bitcoin. Never going to disagree with that. But don't waste your whole life chasing a number that's totally arbitrary. Because again, you have to understand that most people here are doing this for much more than themselves. If you took a poll right now, every person in this chat right now, I bet you they would say that they're not doing this for themselves, but they're doing this for their kids or their grandkids and their kids in the future. And so with that in mind, I think that's a great, when everybody's kind of working towards that for the future, I think that that's a really positive thing. But you also have to understand that by the time I have a grandkid, or somebody out there, their grandkids have grandkids, we're going to be 25 years down the road, 30 years down the road. Do you know how much Bitcoin's going to be worth at that point in 30 years from now? So what I'm trying to say is that it's okay to spend some of your Bitcoin. It's okay to take some of the Bitcoin that you've accumulated so far and actually spend some of that on yourself, because you're only here for a very short amount of time. And whatever stats you had, if you can secure those properly and send those into the future for your grandkids and their kids, they're not going to need that much. They might only need about 10% of whatever you have right now for them to never have to worry about money again. That's where things are going to. And so don't feel like you need to get like at least one Bitcoin or 50 million sats or whatever that is. Just add as much value as you possibly can to the world. Store that value in Bitcoin and enjoy your life. You have to enjoy your life here, because yes, they're probably going to be thankful that you passed them down some Bitcoin in 100 years from now, but you're going to be long gone. They probably won't even, they'll just know that somebody at some point back in the past got Bitcoin for the family. And whether it's 20 million sats, whether it's 2 million sats, it's not going to matter much at that point. The main thing is that you're here now. The main thing is you secure those sats for the future, but also you enjoy yourself a little bit. So there is no number to chase. Don't get caught up in that, chasing a certain number and wasting your best years here. Because again, I go back to this all the time. Everybody wants $1 million Bitcoin. Everybody wants $10 million Bitcoin. But when we get to that point, think about all the things that you would have missed between then and now. Think about the fact that your parents are going to be 10 years older or 10 years older. Your dog's going to be 10 years older. And you're going to go through all this time missing that, chasing something. So there is no number in Bitcoin. There's no number that you should shoot for. There's no number that you should obsess over. You should just do your best. You should add as much value as possible, store it in Bitcoin, and you have to enjoy yourself. Be okay with spending some of your Bitcoin. The goal here is not to accumulate as much Bitcoin as you can. The goal here is to enjoy your life and have as much fun as you can. That's the goal. The next one here, I don't even know what number we're on now. The exchange rate. So right now, as I make this video here, we are hitting an all-time high, I think. No, $125,000 US. That's the exchange rate. That's how many dollars it takes to get one Bitcoin. But the thing that I've learned is that there's no price of Bitcoin. Everybody always says that, like, what's the price of Bitcoin? This is the price of Bitcoin today. There's no price of Bitcoin. There's not. There's an exchange rate for Bitcoin, which means that in the US, the exchange rate is how many dollars of that fiat currency it takes to buy one Bitcoin. And when we started the show 2 years ago, that exchange rate was 35,000. It took 35,000 fiat dollars to buy one Bitcoin. Today, it takes $125,000 for one Bitcoin. So it's the exchange rate. There's no price because every country's different and every country goes up and down differently. So if you look at the price in Canada here, we actually hit an all-time high a couple days ago. Last week we hit it. I think it was on Thursday or Friday. In Canadian dollars, there was an all-time high or an all-time low for our currency here. It took 175,000 Canadian dollars to buy one Bitcoin. So there is no one price of Bitcoin. There's just an exchange rate. And even if we go back to that chart that we had of Bitcoin, we're actually not at an all-time high in gold right now. So the exchange rate for gold back in 2022 was it took 35 ounces of gold to buy one Bitcoin. And today, it takes 31 ounces of gold to buy one Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's actually down in real terms. Even though it's way up, even though it's gone up 3x in fiat, that doesn't mean anything about the price of Bitcoin. There's no price of Bitcoin. It's the exchange rate between other things. So other currencies, other commodities, how much it takes to get one Bitcoin, it changes. And the cool thing about Bitcoin is that it's universal. It's worldwide, which means that it will eventually become a unit of account. That's the stages of assets, which is collectible, store of value, medium of exchange, and then unit of account. So because you can kind of measure everything against Bitcoin, Bitcoin is going to become the new unit of account. And that's like the thing I think that people really need to understand about Bitcoin. And I actually didn't have that on here, but it needs to be on here, which is the upper limit. And this is also something that I didn't really understand. The limit. So the 21 million Bitcoin, everybody knows that, right? Everybody knows there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin. Nobody really knows why. Nobody really knows that there's not 21 million Bitcoin today. There's only, what, 19.93 million, 94.9% of the supply. So we're close to 95% of the supply right now. But that's what people know. They know 21 million. But here's what most people miss, is that whatever amount of sats that you have today, that's pretty much your minimum ownership in the world that you'll ever have. And so what I mean by that is that if you have 1 million sats today, divided by 2.1 quadrillion sats, that's your ownership of the network. Whatever percentage that is, obviously very small, but that's your ownership of the network. And that's the difference between Bitcoin and fiat, is that if you had $1 million today, your percentage of the fiat network is going to go down and down every single second of every single day because they're adding new supply to the denominator there. Your 1 million sats divided by fiat, the total units in fiat land, is going down and down and down every second. You take your 1 million sats, you divide that by 2.1 quadrillion sats, your ownership will only go up. It will never go down. And it will go up when people lose their Bitcoin. If somebody locks themselves out of their wallet, if they have some sats on a Lightning wallet and lose their phone that they didn't back it up, anything like that. Any amount that that's lost, essentially, your ownership goes up. Your ownership will never go down. So that's the main difference between these two systems here. Is that if you had 1,000,000 sats divided by 2.1 quadrillion sats, your ownership will never go down. It will only go up. In fiat, if you have $1,000,000 divided by however many dollars are out there, we don't even know, your ownership will never go up. It will only go down. So that's a very important concept to understand. And that's why no matter how many sats you have today, your number one priority should be, how do I keep these sats safe? How do I keep these sats within my family for my kids and their kids and their kids down the road? That's the only thing that you should be focused on. It doesn't matter how much you have. You should be taking action every single day to try to make your Bitcoin more and more secure, because you're locking in your ownership there of the network, whatever that amount is, unless you spend some of it. But whatever amount that you have, if you can keep that, your ownership of the world will go up forever. So it doesn't matter what the price is, doesn't matter anything about that. The only thing that matters is your ownership. These sats that are going to reprice the whole world, your ownership will only go up. It will never go down. It cannot go down. Cannot go down. So that's I don't even know what number that was. I think that was number 8. That was number 8. And maybe the last one we'll talk about here is Bitcoin taught me the newfound hope in the world. It gave me newfound hope the more and more time I spent in Bitcoin. Hey, we got 69 people in here right now. Nice. Over on YouTube. YouTube, just so you know, this is the last episode of the Daily Bitcoin Journey on YouTube. We're moving. We're going over to Rumble. We're going to Nostr, and we're going to school. So I just shared a link there. I'm also going to have this link in the pinned comments if you want to go over and subscribe on Rumble, if you want to keep watching these shows every day. It's not going to be called the Daily Bitcoin Journey anymore, but we're going to be still doing streams. We got a long ways to go. This is just the first chapter here was the Daily Bitcoin Journey. But anyways, that's the other thing that I learned, is that Bitcoin not only gave me newfound hope in the world, but I also realized that Bitcoin is actually our only hope. Just to take a second here and imagine what the world would look like if Bitcoin didn't exist. If you had to go through the trouble of understanding what the problem is here in the world, and you found Bitcoin, and that's the hope that you now have in the world. Imagine if that was all of a sudden taken from you. What would you do? How would you store your wealth right now? If you went through all this, you saw what we've seen, and Bitcoin didn't exist, what would you do? I don't know myself. Like, I don't know what I would be buying. I don't know what I would be doing. I would be in a lot of trouble. We would be in a lot of trouble. And, there's a lot of people, I think, who showed up here from the pandemic days. And that was I made a video the other day. I got a lot of really good feedback on it, actually. And it was called Bitcoin is Very Difficult by Design. And I talked about the fact that there's nobody here today watching the show that hasn't gone through something very difficult to get to this part, because nobody starts buying Bitcoin when their life is good. Nobody starts buying Bitcoin because everything's gravy in their life. Everybody gets to Bitcoin because they've gone through something. They've lost trust in the system. And that trust wasn't just lost because they watched a video of somebody saying something. They went through something that caused them to lose trust in that system. And the first step they usually take is towards like precious metals, gold, but it eventually leads them to Bitcoin. But the thing is that before I found this crazy thing called Bitcoin, I was very, very black-pilled, essentially. I had no hope for the future, because at that point, it's a very bad place to be, because you've been awakened to the fact of how bad the system is, how corrupt and broken the system is, but you don't have a solution for it yet. And so you've seen it all. You're very worried and anxious and stressed out about the whole situation, and you don't see a light in the future. You don't see a hope for the future. But when you discover what Bitcoin is and the value proposition of it, the fact that it is unstoppable, the fact that it is an asset that you can truly own, the fact that it's something that's borderless. You can have a device, you can have 12 words, and you can hop on an airplane and leave if you have to. You can't do that with any other asset. The fact that nobody can print more of it, the fact that nobody can devalue your wealth and steal from you, your time, your energy. There's a lot of different things that make Bitcoin special. But the thing is that if we didn't have that, we would be toast. If Bitcoin didn't exist in the world that we're moving into, in the world that we're already in right now, we would be toast. And so we have to fight like hell here to not only protect our Bitcoin, but to tell people about what this thing is. And we're not going to spend our time or our energy focused on people who don't want to listen. We're going to spend our time focused on people who are open-minded, who do want to learn, who do want help, who do see hope in the future. And that's the people we want to associate with. That's the people we want to spend time with. We want to collaborate with. We want to build things with. And that's why we're taking the step into the next iteration of this. So that was 400 episodes. That's what I've learned in 400 episodes. And again, it's kind of sad to me that this chapter's over. Anytime something ends in your life, you're always going to be sad about it. But it is really just the first chapter. The Daily Bitcoin was the first chapter. The next stage of this is going to be the Visionaries community. We're going to have the Bitcoin Citadel, which I'm going to spend the next couple of days here on the channel talking about, meeting some of the Bitcoin Citadel members. And we're going to keep going. We're going to focus on the people who are here right now. We're not going to spend as much time chasing or trying to find new people to help. We're going to focus on the people that are here now. And those people, if they want to, they can become a new voice in the Bitcoin network. They can find more people themselves. I can't scale myself here. And so this is going to be shifting to this new community called the Visionaries. It is going to be community owned. It's going to be community run. It's going to be off of YouTube. We're going to still do some shows on here. We're still going to post some videos on here. But the new show is going to be streamed on Rumble and on Nostr. Because yes, YouTube is great for discovery. Yes, it's easy and convenient for people. But it's a problem. It's a problem. And YouTube has done a lot of great things, but they've also done a lot of very bad things. And so instead of complaining about it, instead of fighting with it and worrying about it, I'm just going to opt out of it. And I think that that's the best play forward for everybody. It's like you can spend all the time in the world looking at what the news is saying, what's happening in this country, what the interest rates are, who won this election, whatever. Or you can just opt out. And that's what you want to do. You want to opt out of the financial system. You want to opt out financially. And instead of, the cool thing is like this revolution is going to happen in a very peaceful way. And what you can do is you can just take your time and energy and money out of that system and store it in Bitcoin instead. You don't need anybody's permission to do it. You don't need to tell anybody about it. You don't need to do anything. You just take your money out of that system and you store it in Bitcoin. You opt out financially. You also opt out mentally. So instead of spending all your time watching the mainstream news, watching Netflix, watching whatever, you just opt out. You opt out mentally. You stop paying attention to it. You stop putting your time in it, or you start putting your time and energy on new things like Nostr, like Rumble, like school. And you opt out physically. If you have the ability to, I would strongly, strongly suggest getting the hell out of the cities here. Because again, we have this very bright future to look forward to here. But it's going to take some time. There's going to be some bumps. There's going to be some curves in the path. It's not going to be easy. It's going to get much more difficult before it gets easy. And I think that the worst parts about that are going to be in the cities. So if you have the ability to, I would strongly suggest opting out physically to and getting out of the cities and finding yourself somewhere a small town to live in, some acres of land to live on, and just getting out of that, just opting out physically. So financially, mentally, and physically, that's what you want to do. And that's what we're deciding to do here. So this is the very last episode on YouTube today, the very last episode of the Daily Bitcoin Journey. We're opting out. So with that in mind, I see 65 people here again. If, of course, YouTube decides that they want to start helping me out as we leave. But anyways, let's check on Nostr here. Let's check on Nostr. Satoshi Boats said, morning, yeah, tried talking to a good buddy of mine this past weekend. You can tell they're just not receptive to anything Bitcoin. Their eyes just glaze over and they're waiting for their moment to change the subject. Can be extremely frustrating. Yeah. And then some. Jake, finally on Nostr. Feels good. Nice. Elvio, nice to see you from quite a long time. My fault. No problem. Matt Zap, 369 sats. Thank you, Matt. LVO says, first time I see live stream on Primal. Looks like it's working good. Nice. Scotty said, did you get a chance to check out the song for Visionaries? No, I didn't. Can you, Scotty, can you send a link to that? We'll listen to it today. Can you send a link to that in the Rumble chat or the Nostr chat? Benjamin Zapped 88 sat said Nostr is away. Thank you, Benjamin. And then we got a 21 sat zap from Random NPub. I don't know who that is. See if it shows up if I refresh. Nope. Okay, what's happening on the other ones here? Tom says, got to get back to work. You're all legends in my book. Thrilled when I see anyone out here in the internet wilderness. Stay humble, stack sats. Yes. Groovy Shoe, congrats on 400. What comes next? The Visionaries. That's going to be the next chapter here, the Visionaries. Biggest thing I've learned, don't trust, verify. True. Kachak says, UTXO management is important, folks. Don't neglect it. Yes, 100%. Aaron says, Strike works great. Yeah. I've never used it myself, but I've heard good things. Pomp, wow, that's another early one here from the channel. Pomp, good morning. Kachak, how about a fiat buffer for emergencies, Jor? Yeah, I would keep some emergency cash for sure. I wouldn't keep like an emergency account, like at the bank. I think that's a mistake that a lot of people make, is that they have an emergency fund, but they still leave it at the bank. If you want to have an emergency fund of fiat, make sure you keep it in physical cash. Because if you're going to need an emergency, the bank's not going to be there, right? It's kind of ironic that people hold their fiat as an emergency in the bank, where if an emergency happens, the bank's not going to be there. Unless we're talking about different emergencies, but still, I would much rather just store it in physical cash. Aussie X Pat says, if I buy something with Bitcoin, my rule is to buy at least 20x for that reserves, regardless of the price. That's pretty aggressive, but I like it. Holy shit, that coffee's cold. I actually kind of like cold coffee better than lukewarm coffee. But we froze here last night. It was minus 3 overnight. So everything's is cold here today. Nigel says, is this the last YouTube video? Yeah, it's the last Daily Bitcoin Journey on YouTube. We're still going to be doing streams, but they're not going to be on YouTube. And I'm just going to do a weekly show on YouTube now, I think. Kind of like a Q&A. Last daily live. Yeah, that's right. Binter, hi, Jor. I've been lurking for a long time, but I have to say thank you for making so many mornings better with your show. Nice. I think about that all the time, is like, we have the people who are here in the chat that we see every day. We love talking to the people here, but I never really think about who's watching and who isn't while not commenting. it's kind of weird, but also, I mean, here's a perfect example. Been lurking for a long time, but I have to say thank you for making so many mornings better with your show. Well, hopefully you keep you showing up here with Rumble, with Nostr, one of the two. But thanks for the comment there. Appreciate that. Bitcoin nerds agree with the value. Yes. BTC Pleb, I use lead when I want to sell. I'd rather lend it out than sell it. True. Rod K, spitting straight facts, Jor. Nice. Thank you, my friend. Long time no see, Jor. Jimmy, keep up the good work. I love how people always bring up the solar flare possibility, but never applied to fiat. Yeah. 12% loan against Bitcoin is cheaper than 20% credit card charges. That's for sure. Perfect for emergencies too. It's a great point. Yes, Rumble and Nostr and School. Add value to the world and take the fiat you were paid and convert it to Bitcoin. Store the value you create. Yep. Studying Bitcoin has increased my overall intelligence. Nice. What is the mobile app similar to Twitter that you can send sats to someone when you like their content? That is that's Nostr. Although it's not, Nostr is not an app. Nostr is a protocol, and there's a bunch of different apps built on top of the Nostr protocol. Primal, Amethyst, Jumble, Nostrudel, Damus, Nostr. There's a lot of them. Studying Bitcoin definitely opened my eyes to how terrible the current global monetary system is and the importance of hard assets. Praetorian says, Jory, your name will be synonymous to the word value. Thank you, man. Thank you for the fiat zap there. Thank you. It's a final countdown and I can't wait. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun. It's kind of sad every time there's, an end of something, but it's exciting. I'm excited. We got BTC Fanny Packer over in Nostr. Said, yay, we are on Nostr. Fuck YouTube. Can't say that because we're still going to be posting videos on here. But yeah, we're going to be streaming elsewhere. Marco Black zapped 100 sats. Thank you, Marco. Thank you, my friend. Oh, yeah, did I miss anything else here? Looks like it. We got 1,101 sats. In binary says, congratulations once more. Somebody sent in 1650. Happy Monday. BTC Backpacker said, we are with you, Jor. Thank you, my friend. Benjamin said, Nostr is the way. BTC Fanny Packer's up 420 sats. Thank you, Fanny Packer. Thank you. And we got a 2407 DCA from LaughPad. My man. Thank you, LaughPad. So pumped for the next chapter. Me too. Duncan says, I can't even remember the last time I watched on YouTube. Kachok says, probably be a gold bug without Bitcoin. Yeah, I think I would too. Winry says, another Apple to get ads. Oh my God, I thought I was free with YouTube Premium. I didn't think there was ads on the lives for Rumble. Is there? So Winry, I don't want to burst your bubble here, but Nostr doesn't have ads. Nostr has no ads. One negative effect of Bitcoin, it takes over everything in your life. True. But that's okay. T. Jacobson following on Rumble. Nice. Yeah, I see a couple people have subscribed. Ransom Rider, OC Benji, and Winry over on Rumble. Take it all back. That's right. Curious. Hello. So take those difficulties as gifts. Each time Bitcoin faces adversity in the future should make you very excited that you're given the opportunity to get it at a discount. Yes, true. You can get a Bitcoin backed loan for a few hours for an emergency. True. Bowser says, excited to witness the evolution. I'm excited too. Except I'm pretty cold right now. So you might not be able to tell in my voice. I'm freezing. Need to turn on the heat, I guess, here. We got 50 people over in Rumble right now. 25 likes. Not bad. Okay, what was I going to do here? Oh, the song. Okay. Let's check out the song from Scotty Boy. Wow, Daniel will like this. Daniel will like this one, Scotty. Your photo here, the Phoenix. That's I might use that, Scotty. That's really cool. So this is Visionaries. This is a new song from Scotty. So let's listen to this one. The Visionaries is going to be our new community that we're going off of. And I wish I had more information for people today, but we're still going to do a couple more shows this week. They're not going to be the Daily Bitcoin Journey, but I'll have more information for people on how to join, things like that. But anyways, we got a song for it, it looks like. So let's enjoy this song from Scotty Boy titled Visionaries. Here we go.
There has to be a better way than fighting for survival day by day. We build and bleed and hope to stay afloat.
Okay, Scotty, you knew how to get to my heart, didn't you? I love this. Sounds like an East Coast tune. I guess it says folk song, but this reminds me like Dropkick Murphys or like an East Coast band. Okay, I'm excited for this one now. Okay, here we go.
There has to be a better way than fighting for survival day by day. We build and bleed and hope to stay afloat. But somewhere deep inside, we know the current isn't taking us home. The screens all hum a tired tune. Numbers rise and fall like tides. They said the money's backed by faith, but faith in kings is just a lie. The weight of years we can't redeem, the paper walls of someone else's dream. We met through words across the wire, each one searching for a fire. No flags to wave, no names to boast, just drifting souls comparing ghosts. In late night chats and quiet threads, we stitched our doubts with hope instead. A spark in the static, a truth redefined. We started to see why they wanted us blind. We are the visionaries, hearts of stone and flame, carving freedom from the ruins. We'll never live the same. From shadowed screens to open skies, we'll teach the world to see through lies. We are the visionaries, and our voices will remain. We built small circles into towns where honesty could still be found. Trade by trade and word by word, our message spread, our truth was heard. No banker's hand, no master's chain, just labor's work and fairer gain. We plant these seeds in borrowed earth for children yet to find their worth. When all the false lights fade and fall, they'll walk in truth that's worth it all. We are the visionaries, unshaken and unbound. The system cracked beneath our sound. From humble hands the future grows. Through every trial the fire still glows. We are the visionaries, and the world is turning around. Now I see faces where names once were, no longer lost in the digital blur. The world we dream is breathing now. We made it real. We kept the vow.
Wow, what a tune, Scotty. What a tune, Scotty. Yeah. Jeez Louise, Scotty boy. Yeah, that one worked there, Scotty. Thank you for that. That one's titled Visionaries. It sounds like a pretty good theme song, I think, to head into the future with. Laugh Pad, good morning, my friend. Thank you for the DCA. So what's new? Lots. Happy all-time low for fiat. Yes. Scotty says, I also had a question for We Are Right About Bitcoin. Do you ever say it Warab or only We Are Right About Bitcoin? Yeah, I've never really called it Warab before. Warab. But for text purposes, I like it Warab, but I wouldn't pronounce it that, I don't think. For like a song or something? Definitely a campfire music video vibe. And beautiful, yes. That was something. That was something. Scotty with another banger. Scotty, you're pretty talented, man. I'm not gonna lie. Glad I made it to 400. Cheers, Nick. Good to see you, man. Great to see you. Nick's been here for the journey. When's the album out? Yeah, I think that is my favorite, Scotty. I think that one was my favorite. Finding Focus says, good morning, Jor. Hope you're doing well. Thank you. Yes, that was extremely good. That was amazing. There you go, Scotty. People like it. Well, I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. That I think that's going to be our new theme song, buddy. Okay, well, I got a couple thank yous to say here because we saw the first one here to Arnie Boy's wallet. So somebody sent in a row of ducks. Somebody also sent in 8,056 sats, and it just says Jor. Don't know who it's from, but thank you. And somebody sent in 1,250. Oh, no, not somebody. The Bitcoin nurse. Value received, value sent. Thank you, Bitcoin nurse. And then we got another row of ducks, and we got 1,776. I'm guessing that was maybe from the Backpacker family. They like sending that one. So thank you to whoever those were from. Damn good song. Found myself nodding along while at work. Great job, Scotty, says Satoshi Boats. And Letha liked it too. All right. Wow. Yeah, this is a good one. Just hang on one sec here. Okay. So I think that's it. I think we're going to leave it there for today. Not for today, forever, I guess. So I don't know what the plan is here. I don't know what the plan is in terms of what I'm going to do with Daily Bitcoin Journey. Kind of my plan is to slowly start taking them and putting them onto school. Everything's going to be in the new Visionaries community. So you're going to have all these episodes are going to be in there. All the new episodes, recorded versions are going to be in there. School actually has the ability for us to go live directly in school. So we can actually do different things within that community there and that platform specifically. I'm going to put all the courses that I've done, the 365 days of Bitcoin, the 21-day Bitcoin journey course, the generational wealth, the proof of work, the 21 lessons, all these different courses about Bitcoin are going to be in the school community, the Visionaries. So what I would say, I guess, at this point is, if you want to keep watching the daily streams, I'm going to keep doing daily streams. They're just not going to be here anymore. And they're not going to be called the Daily Bitcoin Journey anymore. This one's done. So the Visionaries is going to start next week. I know it's Monday today. We're still going to do some streams on YouTube this week. I don't know the exact format yet, but they're not going to be daily Bitcoin journey episodes. But what I would recommend is you start looking into Nostr. The first thing that you can do is just go over onto Rumble. And, Rumble's very similar to YouTube in terms of like the sign up, the discovery, the everything. So that, if you want to keep following the journey here, I think that would be the best place to start. You're probably going to want to be a member of the Visionaries community. And you're probably going to want to get onto Nostr, which is where we're going to be streaming as well. But if you are somebody who's, you think you want to be part of the Visionaries community, I would recommend signing up for the Living in the Future, because all Living in the Future members are going to get about a 50 or 60% discount on fees. Because the nice thing about Skool is you can actually, you can create a tier. So let's say we do it for $8 a month, the tier. And if you sign up in that tier, which all the Living in the Future members are going to have the ability to do, you essentially lock in that rate forever. Whereas if we bumped it up to set, which we're going to, like when we started, it's going to be higher than that. And then if we increase it more, if we feel like we have a lot of people there, we want to kind of tighten things up a little bit, we can raise the price of it. And, but you're forever going to be locked into that very low rate, the introductory, the pre-launch rate. So if you are somebody who likes paying with fiat, then that's going to be a good option for you. But the other cool thing too that we can do on Skool is we can actually do lifetime memberships with Bitcoin. So lifetime members are going to be only available in Bitcoin, lifetime memberships. And those are going to be available too, but for Living in the Future members. So we get a lot of different things. I haven't really finalized the details with this yet, but it's going to be community owned. So it's going to be split equal ways from a group of people who started this about 8 months ago. But we're also going to have openings for new owners, but it's not going to be something that you can just buy into. It's going to be something that you actually have to put in proof of work and trust and reputation, and then you can join in as an owner on there. So you want to get in early, I think, because the more time you're in there, the more options you're going to have, the more opportunities you're going to have, the more trust you're going to earn, the reputation, and you're going to have access to actually becoming an owner of the Visionaries community. So that's oh my God, that scared me. Thanks a lot, freaking Scotty. Got my nose running again from that song. What's the Skool link? I'm going to be sharing that. So that's why I said you should join the Patreon here. So I'll throw that link in Rumble too. And I'm going to be sharing the Skool link with all the Living in the Future members this week. And then we're just going to go from there. So I just shared it over on Rumble. And it looks like Scotty sent in a final DCA for the daily Bitcoin journey. Samantha sent in 111. Somebody sent in 400. And Scotty sent a final DCA of 23.97, the lowest one ever. Beat his own record. 23.97. So what's the price then right now? 25,208. Did we hit an all-time high during the stream today? I don't even know. But we are. Look at that. What a perfect way to end. What a perfect way to end the daily Bitcoin journey. We are sub 800 sats per dollar. So right now, this is where we are. For $1, you can get 798 sats. When we started the daily Bitcoin journey back in October or November of 2023, you could have gotten 2,851 sats. Wow. So we crossed 100. We've gone through 100,000 blocks together. We've watched the price of Bitcoin, or the exchange rate of Bitcoin in US dollar terms, go from 35,000 to 125,000. We watched the sats per dollar go from 2,851 down to 800, less than 800 sats per $1. We watched the market cap go from 685 billion to 2.5 trillion. We went from epoch number 4 to epoch number 5. We went from subsidy 6.25 to 3.125. And that's it. That's what we got. So yeah, big shout out to Scotty. I've been loving those songs. So that's going to be our new anthem on the Visionaries community. I don't know how we're going to work that in yet, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Every Visionary show, because we're not on here anymore, we're going to have a lot more freedom and flexibility with what we can and can't do. So we're going to start every show with like a different clip or a different video or something like that, maybe a song, and we're gonna be starting out pretty hot with a couple different things I have a plan for. Paulie says, as a journeyman, what should we or can we do next? Nothing really, Paulie. I mean, you're already on Rumble, so the show is going to continue there, and we're going to have more kind of guidance and steps forward going from there. It's going to be, you know, it's not just going to be we flip the switch and all of a sudden we're here. We're just going to stop the daily Bitcoin journey. We're going to have maybe a couple of different weeks of transition videos. And then we're going to start going full steam ahead with the Visionaries. And I just noticed something here too. The epoch V for Visionaries. This is going to be our logo for the Visionaries. Everything kind of seemed to fall into place for the last one today. So anyways, I want to say thank you, everybody. Solar Satoshi says, Jor, get an Avalon 3S for the desk. I know. I need one of those in here. But anyways, we're going to leave it here. So this isn't goodbye at all. This is just the end of the chapter, the end of the road for the daily Bitcoin journey, our final destination, you might say, for this chapter. But it's just beginning. So I hope you join us for kind of the next iteration of everything here. If you've been enjoying the show, I hope that you find a way to keep showing up because we will be showing up. So I'm going to leave this here at the bottom as we say goodbye today. But yeah, thank you, Scotty, for the nice song there. Thank you, everybody, for the support today, the congratulations and the zaps. And just thanks for being here. I appreciate it. We've the theme of the daily Bitcoin journey was actionable and logical discussion for Bitcoiners. And the Visionaries is going to be a slightly different mission for that. So everybody, for the 400 streams that we've been doing this, been a lot of people come and go. We have over 2.2 million people have seen the channel so far. I just checked last night. 2.2 million views on the channel. It's pretty impressive. So even though, you know, we didn't, YouTube did its best to kind of stifle things around here, we pushed through it, and we're going to continue to. So thank you, everybody, for being here today. Thank you, everybody, for being here for the 400 episodes leading to this point. It's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot, met a lot of great people. But again, this is just kind of where the journey begins, which is the funny part. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed today. Hope you'll be back tomorrow. So if you're watching this right now, the shows actually will be on YouTube going forward this week, but that's kind of where it'll end. So this is the last daily Bitcoin journey. We're going to do a couple more streams on YouTube and continue the transition into the next chapter here. So thanks, everybody. It's been a slice, but again, it's just the beginning here. So Nick, same to you, my friend. That's kind of the whole goal here, is that we want to take this from the virtual, the digital, into the physical. And we're gonna. So thanks, everybody. I hope you have a great Monday. Hope you have the best day of your life today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the support. And I love you all. So we'll see you sometime soon. Bye-bye.